Welcome to Colorful and Anime, where we talk about anime from a colorful perspective. I'm your host, Lance, my good homie Jordan.
Yo.
We're here to talk. First of all, if this is your second or third time seeing us, just watch, just subscribe.
Yeah.
You like us.
Subscribe, hit that little bell notification so
exactly.
you get notified when new videos come out.
Yeah, because we much appreciate you being a part of our community. Now, today we're responding in a way, sort of, to our comments that we got on our last couple of videos. We kind of record these a few out, so I'm looking forward to these very insightful comments. The first one is from our No Blacks Allowed and Dragon Ball Z episode,
which if you haven't watched, you should go watch that.
Go watch that. Yeah, we're gonna put it like here or something, and I'm gonna read it. It's quite long. From Wet Bandit YGO.
First
like
of all,
we like your
name.
handle.
It's a great name.
Yeah, great name. And I'll read this one. Do you seriously need someone to match the color of your skin for you to be able to relate to them? That's what irks me about asking for more diversity in anime. It's such a shallow way to look at it. I'm way worse off on it. They probably is not typing like this. Maybe they were. If you're watching this, just let me know if this matches the tone.
Dramatic reading,
right?
And then the sun came up over the hills.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the energy. The reason anime has been so successful globally is because the stories they can tell can still be relatable to people around the world. Same thing can be said about any medium. I'm brown myself, and know many brown Latinos that are fans of K-dramas. I like K-drama. I'm going to comment on that after. You will not see a single person of color in those K-dramas.
Well, they're getting better at that.
Yes. But the shows are still successful worldwide because the root of the stories are relatable to us as humans. I understand that the anime is the Japanese, and I fully expect the characters to match Japan's demographics. I think it's ridiculous to demand Japanese anime creators to shoehorn in people of color, especially if they're not familiar with them. It would just seem disingenuous to me. Like you guys just pointed out, there are many cool stories about black people in history to take inspiration from. I would think that the same applies for Asian history too. It would be cool to see them take inspiration from black history. But it might take a while, as I'm sure they have a huge well of Asian history to go through. And of course, they can always continue to come up with new and unique stories themselves. I do not think this is the duty of Japanese people to feature people of color in their animes. Jordan, react.
I don't disagree with a lot of the things that he said. He, she, they. Right, sorry, yeah. What bandit?
My bad.
Know. My fault. Don't know.
Let us know.
Yeah. Don't know if you're a guy or not, but anyway, I don't disagree with a lot of what Wet Bandit said. I think it's true. I think we kind of touched on this in our episode, about the whole like throwing in diversity for diversity's sake. Mm-hmm. I don't like that, really in any medium, because that is so prevalent nowadays where it's like
it's messed up a lot of good
you see the pendulum swing so far in the opposite direction.
Yep.
That it's like, all right, well, there's no good original content that features diverse characters. It's remakes of classics that we don't need a person of color as enter X. The most common, one of the biggest critiques nowadays is that they remade Ariel with a black actress. The Little Mermaid. So stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
Realistically, do we need a black Little Mermaid? Probably not. I mean, can you make another story about a black mermaid? Sure. Mm-hmm. Disney has done great princesses of color. Yeah. You think Mulan?
Mm-hmm.
You think
I know some Asian folk who don't like Mulan. They do, but then they don't. The same reason I don't like Princess and the Frog. Or
True.
It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get the culture you're trying to reach, but
so yeah, but all that to say is diversity done well is great. When it's thrown in there just for diversity's sake, that's when I agree that it's not tastefully done and it doesn't do justice to the group of people that they're trying to force into the narrative. So like, when we were talking about, obviously, again, it was a satire article about No Blacks and Dragon Ball Z. Again, satire.
Satire, not real.
Because not everybody got that. We had like at least one comment where they were like, "Well, you didn't say that."
Well, somebody said, I didn't watch this yet, But of course it's not real.
Right.
Watch the video if you haven't finished it.
Right, if you're going to comment, I haven't watched this yet, just finish the video. Like, you ain't got to say that. Just finish the video. And then give us a comment about what you thought. But no, for real talk. So back to that. So, like I said, forcing the diversity is not the vibe. Mm-hmm. That's not gonna fix anything. It's not gonna make people want to see diverse characters. Yeah. Really, what's gonna make people want to see diverse characters is new stories, original stories, or diversity done tastefully. Like if it's done well, it's great. You know, you think about diverse characters that are great in different shows. You know, like can't think of one off the top of my head, but they exist. Yeah. So when you do characters well, you know, like Yoruichi in Bleach. Yes. Yoruichi, you think about the black captain. What's his name? Tosin. No, Tosin. Yeah, Tosin's a great black character. Chad, he's not black, but he's Mexican and Japanese. Cool little backstory about his Mexican grandfather teaching him how to box. Cool stories, cool characters. They enforce it. You know, like they enforce it. They ain't try anything crazy. They didn't be like, oh, well, this black character. They just added them and gave them a cool backstory.
The pushback I would offer, not to you, but to this is, of course, there's a need for representation in things that are stale. Yeah. And there are ways that you do it wrong. This is anime adjacent, but I was just looking this up, but to double check with John Boyega, right, for Star Wars, and it was a big deal. They marketed that movie like on him. Yeah, and literally every single commercial was John Boyega this, John Boyega that, and then you watch the first one that he was in, and you're like,
they catfished us.
Where is he in this movie? Well, and then you watch the next one. Of course, it's the female Jedi that gets all of the highlights. And so so in a way I agree, and we don't need diversity for diversity's sake. But I think the issue with Star Wars is you do need diversity, and and I think there are some animated properties, some Japanese animated properties that could use that. Yeah.
When I think about properties that the West and Hollywood took that they did a terrible job with, like case in point, Death Note. Ooh. Like Hollywood's Death Note was a dumpster fire. Yeah. With the exception of casting, what's his face as Ryuk?
What's my man? What's that? Bruh. Oh, my man's. Who got the famous for it? Or Green? Was that Green Goblin?
Yeah, he's Green Goblin. Why can't I?
Dang it! Why?
Willem Dafoe.
Will Dafoe. With a D.
So that was a GOAT cast. As Ryuk. That was.
But first of all, I know that they spent their whole budget on that.
For sure. Yeah, he was like half their budget getting him to play Ryuk. But that was. Other than that was a dumpster fire. Mm-hmm. Like they made L like a black detective is Lakeith Stanfield. Bro, take all the L's for that, Lakeith, bro. That was a L. That was a huge L.
Can I say? I'm gonna say this.
Say it.
Lakeith. Okay, I'm a big Atlanta fan. Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. Shout out Donald Glover. Shout out all those folks. Shout out old boy who plays Paperboy, who played in the Eternals. But Lakeith Stanfield is not for everything. Lakeith Stanfield, you know what it is? People think Lakeith Stanfield does what Jonathan Majors can do.
Sure. Yeah.
In various formats and films, and it's the same thing. You know how I feel about. I ain't gonna even go that far because I'm gonna probably get canceled for the Lakeith Stanfield. But that goes back to the point of diversity for diversity's sake. Yeah. Right. Why would you cast somebody like that?
We didn't need a black L because the biggest problem was not that L was black. The biggest problem is that L was a completely unrecognizable character. Right. It was not L. It was a new character with L's name.
And when you watch the anime. As soon as L enters in the story, you're like, yo, this dude is about to shut everything down.
Yeah, and he damn near did. Something. Yeah, and he almost got it. You know, he almost caught Light slipping on a couple occasions. Right. You know, and it was like, so you have unnecessarily changed characters where you've changed a character with no rhyme or reason. Yep. And you didn't do the character any justice. You didn't do their backstory any justice. So I agree in that regard that diversity needs to be done well and not just done haphazardly because that's when people get mad. Yeah. And that's when you have the comments like, oh, well, this feels like it's forced. Like, because it was. That was a force. Like, that was totally a force.
There's another thing to this, too, in whether or not Japanese people are Japanese people are people of color. We talked about this a long time ago, and it's kind of there was an all black show that came out, or okay, somebody asked Issa why there weren't any prominent white people in Insecure, Issa Rae.
Sure.
And she was like, because I didn't want them to be. I like her, like she's straightforward with her answers.
Yeah, right.
And I thought about that because Insecure is a great show. It wouldn't be a great show if that part of her artistic vision got blurred because she was trying to be quote unquote inclusive per se. Not that there's not any white people, but they're very much like the side characters, like the way black people are the side characters in Seinfeld and Frasier and all that stuff. And so it's weird to see that flip, but it works for her artistic vision. And so I think, like, whether or not Japanese people are people of color is a whole nother thing, but I think that either way, I'm okay with that. I was like, I don't feel uncomfortable if I watch an all Japanese film. Like, I grew up on kung fu movies and all sorts of
old
stuff.
Old samurai flicks.
And so, like, in ninja film, like, I have no issue with that, but I do think that there are people who have an issue with that part. And I think that's the only thing that's the only real reason why people will react to that DBZ thing, because I think there's some underlining things that we haven't figured out. Because if you see like if you see a telenovela, nobody's like, oh my gosh,
why are they all Latino? Where are the whites? Going on? Where are the blacks?
Right, it's a Spanish medium, right? Like, and the same thing with anime, but the anime is like there's something there that I think makes people feel uncomfortable to where they're like with the DBZ thing. See, I knew it. I knew they didn't want no black people. It's like, why? What is your issue?
They feel vindicated. Like,
Like, and that's what I'm saying. I think that comes from maybe the whole. We've talked about this a long time ago, but even kind of like the black Asian weird dynamic relationship, just like through history, at least in America.
Oh yeah.
And
maybe, let's not kid ourselves. Like, black folks and Asian folks don't really get along in the United States.
Yeah, that's been it's been an ongoing thing. I have Asian friends.
Oh yeah,
I'll be hitting with that. I got Asian friends.
That's a generalization. That's not everybody, obviously.
You know how they hit you with the man. I got a black friend.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I got one Asian friend.
I got some Asian friends, but like, but there is that relationship dynamic that makes those kinds of articles have legs.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think that's more of where we all eventually need to have a powwow and eat food and do what they said in the history books at Thanksgiving, when that's not what happened at Thanksgiving. Right. But yeah, so I'm gonna say that.
So I think another part of Wet Bandit's comment too was like, do we need somebody to match the color of our skin to be able to relate to them? Which I think is a good point. Like, because I don't think you do. Like, no black folks will watch anime if we needed a black character to relate to. Look, like, we might watch a couple. But like, nobody would watch. Nobody would really watch Naruto like that, because there's like a few. Right. Nobody would really watch Bleach like that, because there's only a couple. Mm-hmm. Nobody would really watch One Piece, because there ain't really that many black characters. Yeah. You know, or and think about when Wet Bandit's talking about brown folks and other Latinos. Like, how many Latinos can you name in any anime? Right. Outside of the Chad. One that we put. Yeah, right. Chad, that's it. It's the only one I can think of. Like, I mean, there's probably one in Cowboy Bebop. Yeah. One or two. Right. Probably. But no, I think it's a good point, because, part of what makes anime so intriguing is that we can relate to what the main characters are going through. Right. Like, their struggles, their motivations, like the character arcs, the side characters and how they relate to the main character. So, like, we don't need, per se, diversity to relate to those characters, but having said that, having diverse characters in those roles makes more people potentially relate to that character. Yeah, it's a weird conversation. So like, it's a balancing act. It is. I thought about this. This will definitely be the longer episode. But I thought about this, and I thought about when I saw that part of the comment, I thought about all the childhood books that I read. Mm-hmm. And I thought about all the ones that that made an impact on me. And it was stuff like Three Musketeers, Harry Potter. I wasn't a kid when I read it, but like the Percy Jackson books, Artemis Fowl,
Like
Oh,
these
Artemis
are Artemis Fowl was lit.
Yeah, bro. It was,
but
for
like
sure.
right, but and there's a theme in that is that none of these there are no people of color as leads in any of these books.
Right.
There are probably a couple mystery books I have in there or stuff like even the Hunger Games books. So like I think about, and I wasn't a kid, I was an adult when I read them, but I still thought it was a really compelling story.
Yeah.
Because I think that, and that's the thing about the Harry Potter bit too, is like there's like their religious symbolisms throughout that as well. Obviously it's all the magic stuff, but essentially it's the very, very distant story of like Jesus, essentially. That's because J.K. Rowling is Catholic or whatever.
Sure.
And so I think there are stories that have permeated people over time that exist, right? So I ain't gonna go too deep, but again, going back to like the Garden of Eden and stuff like that, that story exists in a lot of different facets, even in like non-religious facets or whatever. But because the story is such a compelling story, right? And so folks believe that to be narrative. Some folks believe it just to be like creation myth or whatever. But either which way, the story is so compelling that it breaks through any color, any skin color, any culture. And when you see that, like a temptation and one person being tempted up, you're like, oh man, like I can't believe that this is like. So all I have to say is, I don't think that I don't want to get like too far on the. I was like, I thought that was that for some reason. I was like,
somebody break it.
I don't think that I don't want to go too far to say that we don't need representation because there are some stale properties, but compelling stories are timeless. And if we are continue to tell compelling stories, and then we put the people of color faces on those stories, then I think we got something. But I'm not really here for the whole we need a black Goku, we need a black James Bond, we need a black I don't care about that.
Just for the sake of it.
Right, because there are better stories to tell.